And I'm joined by the one and only Mr. Henry Gottelier of course, the Karma Effect. How's it going, Hen?
How's it going, dude? Nice to see you, man.
Always good to see you, mate. Always good to catch up. Obviously, last time I saw you was Cambridge, Portland Arms.
I
Uh,
know, yeah, got back in April. Yeah, that was really cool, man. It was really nice of you to come down. I know you're up that way, but I mean, it was really cool of you to come down on a weeknight as well. So
oh,
thanks, man.
well, thank you, mate, because actually, as you might be aware, my sister was with us. My sister is a nurse, so she works at nurse for a care home, and the shifts that she does, it's very rare we get a night out. Just me and my sister, and
Yeah.
it's also very rare, and literally just me and my sister. Obviously, we'll go out with Joe and her other half, Luke, and things like that. But just know with big sister and big brother and little sister was nice. So thanks
Oh,
for giving
amazing.
that.
Oh, I'm glad that we could maybe bring a little bit of joy to that as well, then, dude.
Well, it was a hell of a lineup you had, mate. You had Silveroller boys out with you as well, who were.
Yeah, really cool band. In fact, the hat I'm wearing right now was a present from Johnny as well. So
Oh, was it?
really appreciate that.
No, great band, and they did make me laugh though because I didn't realize when during Silveroller's set, I could see Dylan looking over to Johnny as Johnny walked off because he'd left his harmonica upstairs, he left his mouth harp upstairs, and then they were just
I
extending the
remember that.
jam out, and I saw Johnny come back down with his mouth harp in his pocket and in his hand. I was like, oh, that's why you walked off.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, no, they were really good. They're a really good bunch of lads, really good fun and really hospitable, like we always try and make sure that we welcome everybody into our touring lineup. And, if it's like there's no like headline bands, like hierarchy, sort of stuff. We're just like, it's all for one, you're helping bring the stuff. And they were really friendly and really welcoming to us as well, so we just got on. And by the end of the tour, it was one of those things where you like just could have kept going.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, like you say, they're really nice guys. And when it came to Just Push Play, they'd had a hell of a lineup change.
Yeah.
The guys, Johnny rang me up and basically was like, dude, just so you know, this has happened, but we still want to commit. And I was like, well, if you're willing to commit, I'm not gonna, sack you
Yeah.
off if you're still willing to show that commitment. And to be fair to them, 6 weeks later, they won the Just Push Play stage, and I think everybody would agree that they were an absolute highlight, man. They were,
Yeah, man. Well, I know exactly how that feels. So it's
yeah,
yeah, it's cool, man. Like and anyone that is, someone like Johnny, he's in the trenches. He's a trooper. He's a fighter. He knows what he wants. The guy looks $1 million,
oh,
and he sounds $1 million. Like he's got his thing, and he's got a killer band, and the guys were amazing. So yeah, and they're smashing it. So good for them.
absolutely, man. Well, you touched upon it then, and some people watching might be thinking I'm avoiding the elephant in the room or teasing up for it, but it's not an elephant in the room. We've been speaking about it before I hit record there, but obviously since I last saw you guys at Cambridge, there has been, big lineup changes in the band, with Ash and Liam and Johnny leaving.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, it's been. I mean, I'd be lying if I say it hasn't been a really tricky few months.
Mm.
It's been a bit of a double-edged sword, really, because it's been quite challenging, and we've faced a lot of a lot of challenges, but also it's also been really cathartic and quite weirdly easy at the same time to sort of like bridge these gaps and get over these sort of hurdles. Yeah, so obviously we were out on tour with Silveroller in April, and then we had a really great run. It was amazing. But then obviously, you get back, and then the cycle, we knew that that was the end of our kind of touring cycle for any of the Promised Land era music and anything like that. We knew that we couldn't do another UK run for a little while.
Yeah, of course.
Europe has been on the cards for some time, and obviously we're starting now to get over there. But it was time to go in and do a new record. And basically, I think what happened was the way I can describe it to you, and I said to you before, again, before we started the interview, some people are lifers, I call them.
Yeah.
They live and breathe this lifestyle. And when you're in a position like we are to be able to go out there and make records and play, and people come watch you, and it's obviously it's difficult, but there's challenges, but it's also we're in a really good position that a lot of bands would love to be in.
Yeah.
But the challenges are you are away a lot, and you give up a lot of your time to the band. It's another marriage outside of a marriage, or it's another family. It's anything like that. And I guess the other guys, they didn't have that mentality that I have and that Robbie has, and and the guys that are now in the band have. It's one of those things, like there's absolutely no ill will or bad blood. I've known those guys for most of my life. They've been my best friends. They were my best men at my wedding.
Yeah.
They are. I owe them a lot, and they'll always forever be a massive part of our musical legacy. But they helped us and get to where we are now, which is really, really. I'll thank them a lot for that. But they wanted different things. Liam has stepped back from music, and he doesn't want.
Oh,
He
wow.
doesn't want to. No, yeah, he just doesn't want. He doesn't see himself being out there playing and doing that. He was a great bass player, but he always said to us, he was like, I'm the bass player for the Karma Effect, but you guys are all musicians. And he was like, he wants to spend more time at home and do that. And I think Ash just, I think ever since day one, I don't think he ever quite thought of himself as being that kind of a drummer for a band. I think he thought himself to be a little bit more based around the kind of session playing sphere and doing things like that. As I said, the guys helped me create the band that I wanted to create. It was my brainchild. It was my baby. It was initially going to be my thing. And then the guys helped me make it into our thing.
Yeah.
And, and same goes for Robbie and stuff. But obviously we're not kids anymore. That's a big part of it as well. We're not kids anymore. Yeah.
Like
And
you say, yourself started as when we first spoke, when I first got, that first single you sent across, and I chatted to you and Ash, it was always like, this is a project that formed out of lockdown while we're all sat there, and you didn't have, that the road years that you've now got, obviously, but you didn't have them with the first album because you couldn't have it.
exactly.
So
you grow and you go out and you do it. And I'll be honest, I still to this day pinch myself that this snowballed into what it became, and that our band and our name and our brand, as it were, became something that people seek out and actively like, and allowed us to have a top 20 album in the UK and a record deal and management and booking agents and all of this stuff that I never dreamed that it would become. But the way I look at it is, it did become that, and my dreams of it being that did come true, and we're only getting started. And I guess after the initial shock of the boys deciding to step back, after me being like, having my knickers in a twist and being like, oh, that's it, what we're going to do, you've got quite a level-headed character in Robbie. And Robbie was like, I am not stopping. He's like, the guys helped us become what we've become. And if they don't want to do it, then fair play to them. That's absolutely fine. But that just means we're just going to pass the baton on to people that are going to really want to get behind us. And with the new lineup, part of the kind of criteria was like, are you in it for, like, this is what we want, this is what we're going to do. Our calendar is packed full of stuff. We had an amazing third album ready to be recorded. So for the guys that have come into the new band that I'm sure we'll talk about, it's a bit of a, like, they're coming into a fully fledged package deal of like, everything's there on the table. All you got to do is just reach out and grab it, and away we go. So that's been amazing. And people like, so for example, our drummer Alan, he is the drummer for Lawrence Jones, or was. Lawrence isn't doing as much at the moment, and Alan wanted to sink his teeth into a proper band. But Alan is like, he's like me, he's like Robbie, he's like touring, he's done multiple European stretches, he's done multiple UK tours and things like that, and he just came straight in and was like, let's get to work. Absolutely nailed the drums on the new album and nailed the parts for the previous music with just like a real like a real fresh energy. He hits the drums like nothing I've ever seen in my life. Like every beat matters, like his life depends on it. But he's just got this incredible swing, incredible groove. Yeah, so we were like, when we auditioned him, it was like the minute we got his audition tape through, it was a done deal, really. And the same with Tom. Like Jamie was really helping us out with the live stuff. He was amazing. He came in to do all of the Promised Land touring cycle. But you know, when you're overhauling, when there's a big change and things like that, we were discussing how we wanted to proceed, and again, it just our visions on what we needed and what we wanted, they just didn't line up. He's an incredible musician, and it was a real pleasure having him step in and really save our bacon for a while. And it just meant that when it came to this next chapter, it just wasn't going to work with what he could commit to, and then the kind of musicianship that we needed for the album. And Tom Pitt, our keyboard player, he literally contacted us.
Okay.
Keyboard players are like gold dust.
Oh God, yeah.
I can't tell you, like they are literally like to find a rock keyboard player, you know. And again, his audition tape was amazing, and I was like, yeah, it's that was what we needed. And then the kind of left the curveball. I keep calling him the curveball because it's like we had Nathan has always been the silent member of the band. He was our tour manager.
Yeah.
But what people don't know about Nathan is he is an incredible multi-instrumentalist.
Yeah,
He's got great.
I've dealt with like TMR over the years with Just Push Play, and then with Peter and Nathan. I didn't know he played. I genuinely
mate.
played
So
until
like
Nathan came
when
out.
we were on tour and he'd help us with sound check, and you know, he'd often grab one of our guitars and he'd play. He'd send me through some of the stuff he was working on for himself, and I've heard his voice, I've heard his guitar playing, and then obviously he's an incredible bass player. He plays a lot of bass for different people. And he kept on being like, I'll throw my hat in the ring to like help you out.
Yeah.
Kept on saying, I'll help you out. I'll help you out. And after chatting, you know, with our manager, who is coincidentally, obviously his dad, you know, I was like, his dad was like, I think he would really like to give this a shot.
Mm.
And I hadn't thought about it because he hadn't, I think he was a bit shy to let on that he really wanted to do it. And when he did, I was like, come down. And when we were playing as a band, I'll be honest with you, it was like I wasn't even really paying attention. I was focusing so much on, you know, like Tom and Alan and making sure those guys were like gelling and jamming with the boys and whatever. I just completely forgot that Nathan had never played through any of our stuff like that. And he was amazing. It was like he's always been there. He's technical. He's got soul, funk vibe. And, you know, we're really lucky. And we've been rehearsing these past kind of 2 weeks because we've got some massive shows coming up.
So you got some great shows lined up.
Yeah. This is what I mean. Like we're just going to hit the ground running. Like, and it's been great. It's been tricky. It's been a challenge. You know, with like the guys have had to like learn a lot of stuff. You know, they've had to come in and create a new album, and then they've had to obviously learn our live show and what we want to do. And we've changed it up and we've made it, freshened it up a bit, but they've risen to it. And it's been great, mate. It's been difficult, but it's been really good. And I think for me, the biggest challenge that we have to overcome, which is the thing that scares me the most, is making sure that our fans and everybody get behind us and they can appreciate and hear what we've been working on and how much time and effort we've put into making sure that this next chapter of this band is going to be by far and away the best chapter, you know?
Yeah. I mean, obviously you've got a lot of new elements, like you say, between Alan, Nathan and Tom coming into the mix. Did that change how you would normally record and the process of everything going in with this third album? Did that was it just a case of having someone, someone else's eyes on it, or did it really feel like something completely like fresh?
Yeah, I mean, we had to do things differently because the time that we would have devoted to pre-production,
Okay, yeah.
we had to bed in new musicians that wanted to, and you've got to remember that when you have a change like that, it's not just their musical capabilities. It's are we all going to get along?
Yeah.
You know, are we? You can be the best musicians in the world, but you got to love each other and get along. And Robbie and I are quite intense characters. We love what we do. And when we're working, we are working, and it's very, very much, it's quite, it can be quite an intense environment to be in because we want it to be amazing. And we've always prided ourselves on the fact that it has always been that our live show's always been,
Yeah.
one of the best, and our music speaks for itself, and I'm really proud of that. And I basically sort of said to the guys, that's what we have to do. I said to them, I was like, this album was, all of the demos were ready to go, and we decided, and we kind of got together and we listened through them and the structures, and then I was like, right, okay, well, we know that that's what it's going to be like. Let's go and record our record. And in the studio, we kind of went in blind with our ideas, and we're like, let's just go for it. And what we've come out with is by far and away the most exciting record this band's ever recorded.
Oh wow, okay.
On a personal level, the songs are by far, as the sort of songwriter in the group, the songs, I've pushed myself to places that I've not gone before. We were saying before the cameras came on, I was like, you are going to love it, knowing what you love about rock and roll. It's got everything that we wanted, that I've ever wanted to put on a record, all encompassing. And it's just, yeah, it really is like, it took the first two albums to get to this third album. That's how I'm viewing it. And we've nailed in, we know what we want to be and the music we want to write. And the sound of it is incredible. We did it with Michael Charman again, and this time we wanted to change it up on the kind of mixing side of things. And I was a huge fan of the sound of the last Bad Touch record. I thought it sounded amazing.
Phenomenal, yeah.
So we were like, where did you get it mixed? And they were like, the Romish did it, and he did the last Juliet's Not Dead record, and that, just the sonic quality of the album. We've gone for we wanted to have an album that was taken straight out of the 1977, but polished up and delivered and packaged as a band in 2025. So we wanted a modern sounding record for a band that is a retro rock outfit, and we didn't want, so our decision behind it was, there's so many bands in the scene that are going the opposite of being like, and by the opposite, I don't mean we're using like modern technology or anything. We just want it to sound new. But there's so many bands that are like, we want it to sound like, a lot of the bands that I love, like Dirty Honey and Greta Van Fleet, and all of these bands that want it to sound like it's all been recorded on a tape deck.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think that's really cool and admirable, and I love it. These bands are smashing it.
Absolutely.
But we want to have a record that is a bit more accessible to everybody in 2025. So it's a modern sounding record, but it's a 70s rock record, if that makes sense.
But that's how I always felt about you guys, especially in a live scenario. It was, you could hear your influences in there from, you could hear, Aerosmith and Crows and everything else that was running for your music, but it sounded like a band of now. You've always been a band of now, even if your influences and what you're inspired by was, for want of a better term, yesteryear. So to make that transition to try and capture that on album doesn't seem,
Absolutely. And like I said, we everything that's on the record, like we play everything. You know, it's all like we don't like we value the musicianship of making records and the process, and we're making we're making an album the way you'd make an album back in the day, but we're just making it now, and we want it to sound a little bit more refined to be now, and that's why we decided to do it the way that we've done it. And I've heard it's all finished and ready to be mixed now, and the raw tracks on their own, I'm just like, I just cannot wait for everybody to hear it, because it's going to be absolutely incredible, you know.
I can see how buzzing you are on it, Ed, mate.
I genuinely, I really am, because you know, back in May, if I could have told you that after kind of everything that had happened, we'd be able to be doing this with the rest of the year and the plans that we've got, I'm just really grateful. And as I said, I want more than anything to be able to prove, and so does Robbie and all of the rest of the Karma Effect, we want to be able to prove to the fans that where we were and where we got to has allowed us to become the band that we now want to be, taking it forward. And that's, you know, and making sure that everybody, you know, is getting behind that and getting behind the new guys, and appreciating that all we're here to do is just serve the gods of rock and roll and bring you guys the best music that we can bring you, you know?
I mean, all bands, I think, would feel that pressure on, you know, there is that classic kind of third album pressure. It
Big
tends to
time.
be a turning point for bands. And anyway, you know, I mean, we talked about Aerosmith earlier, the Toys in the Attic, absolute turning point for those guys. And you guys have kind of got that, and then some of the bands have had it as well, but that added pressure of, you know, a substantial lineup change and everything that comes along with that in terms of embedding stuff, let alone it being that kind of tricky third album where you're really trying to make your song be heard that little bit louder, and you've kind of refined who you are by this point. So I'd imagine the pressure under you guys was pretty phenomenal
The pressure was, the pressure was great, you know, but the thing is about it is that I always knew that we had a record that was, you know, in the pipeline, as it were. When this was all going on, we had an album that I was desperate for people to hear. And I knew that
already written before the lineup change then.
Yeah, the album, mate, the album was ready to go, literally to go in and start pre-production and working on it and whatnot, ready to start, you know, getting the guys together and doing it. And it's all the same process has happened. It's just happened with essentially a new lineup.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's been daunting and it's been challenging. And again, I say the scariest part of this is all I want. I know that what I'm sitting on and everything that we're doing and whatever is sounding amazing. I just want to feel like I want to get there so I can go out there and prove to the fans that where we're going and where we intend to go, the other guys allowed us to open this door, and now we're stepping through it. And as I said, they'll always be a huge part of our journey, you know, and I love them dearly, but it's time now for us to, you know, take that mantle and just go for it. And these guys that we're with, I finally feel like there's a sense of stability behind it. And, you know, the I think we maybe always struggled with a little bit behind the scenes. You obviously put on a good show and you put on your good interview patter and all of this, but I really feel like the people that are there are there because this is their journey, that they're like me, and this is what they want to do, and that's really cool. That's been really cathartic to have that experience.
I mean, you certainly brung, like, you know, the Karma Effect fans along for the journey. I mean, the other week you put the live video up when you were doing vocals in the booth. I'll be honest, I had the office to myself, so I was just like, I just sort of come up, I was like, Karma Effect's live, and I'm like, oh, Hen's live, I'll watch that. So you were joining me in my office, mate. But you know, and that sounded great to hear, like, just like where that vocal line was going, and you know, the groove that I could hear on that particular snippet that you did put up was like, okay, there is something exciting here for sure.
Well, you're going to be one of the first people to probably hear it before it's released. I know you will be, and I know, and because you know, we need people like yourself, Lee, that big in the scene and big. You do an amazing job interviewing and talking to all these people in your radio show, and everything is so cool. We want to, you know, and not only that, but like most importantly, you are a friend and a fan of the band,
Yeah,
and we want
absolutely. Yeah.
we want people like yourself to hear it and be excited about it and be able to be like, you guys are gonna love
Yeah.
what we're what we're kind of, you know, getting ready to deliver, and that's really cool. And I genuinely, I am so excited for you to hear it, because it's, the songs are killer. Like, you know, our producer, when I sent him the demos, he was like, this is by far and away the best record that you guys have done. And I mean, I'm biased, but I would be inclined to agree, just on a standpoint of it being, you know, it's just, there's just real development there. There's a band and a kind of history with the fans, and we know what we want to be doing and what we want to bring to an audience and stuff like that.
I mean, you like I say, you sort of tease people with like a few clips in the studio and things like that. When are you planning on launching that first bit of new material for people to?
The campaign kicks off in October.
Right, nice.
So it's coming, and it's coming pretty soon, and we're looking for an early spring release for the
Nice.
record. And we are, you know, we've got big, like we've got like the label came down to listen to the record, and there's always that little bit of like pressure there,
Yeah, of
but they
course.
were like blown away by what it was that what we were doing, and that was still when we were tracking it. So, you know, I kind of want them to listen to it
Yeah.
now. Um, so we've got big plans, and we've got a lot of stuff that we really want to try and do with this next campaign. So it's going to be genuinely really exciting, and there's a real fresh energy in the room. We're ready to head to Europe. You know, we got some shows in Europe in a couple of weeks. We're playing in Sheffield next week for a
Yeah.
big festival, and you know what's amazing, and I say, like, we've opened this door now.
Yeah.
We're going through to this next chapter, and this next chapter sees the Karma Effect higher up the bill, or the highest we've ever been up the bill, headlining like some of these regional festivals or main support, or being asked back as like special guests to things. And you know, it's just beyond humbling for me that started this in this exact chair in front of this exact computer, you know, like 5 years ago. It's just humbling to see that where we've been and where this journey's taken us to be now where we are, and what we want to do with this next bit. It's going to be it's really cool, and I'm very grateful, and I'm really grateful that we have this opportunity to go out there and make it bigger and better than it's ever been.
I mean, like you say, man, you haven't really slowed down the wheel, no more than so than any other band might have done when they were going. You know, you had your tour back in like sort of April time when I saw you, and then you know the news gets announced was the end of July. So you know you're already working on the album. It's not unknown for a band to be quiet the same length of time if they were just working on the album compared to what you guys have had to deal with. And yet
Yeah.
immediately you've got, like you say, you've got Sheffield next week, and then you've got Rock and Roll Fest as well, and Rames Fest and Planet Rockstock at the end of the year in November as well. So you've got these like big shows. Was there ever any doubt in your mind that you were like, we might have to pull these?
I mean, like, weirdly, like, it was all very seamless. Like, as the guys were leaving,
Mm.
the new guys were already joining, and the transition between things was very smooth. We, you know, we went straight into the studio and we started working, we started rehearsing, and it was, I guess, realistically, there was no hiatus, there was no break, there was just solid work going on behind the scenes. So many bands have these things happen to them, and they'll disappear for 9 months,
Yeah,
12
exactly.
months. And we were disappearing because we had to disappear anyway,
Mm.
because we had to go and work on a new record. And it just so happened that when we came back, it was just some fresh faces. And it's really, nothing's changed apart from the faces that you know, that are going to be on stage. And I guess the only time I've been like worried about something is just making sure that we have such high standards for our live show.
Yeah.
It was always just a case of making sure that when we come out and play live, it has to be better than it's ever been. It can't even be as good. It has to be better, because we want to prove we want to prove to people that a band can go through these trials and tribulations and all of this stuff, make great music, and come back bigger and stronger than ever before. So, you know, my only thing was saying to the guys in the band, if it's not that, then maybe we will have to have those questions of, can we go out there and do these gigs? But the truth of it is that, you know, after running through the songs 3 or 4 times, you're like, it just feels normal. It feels like I've been playing them this way, you know, forever. But actually, weirdly, because it's new and it's fresh, it's more exciting, and you pick up parts on your own playing and your own vocals and your own performance and whatever, and you start going like, well, it's now a choice. It's a chance for me to make it better as well, as you know, as well as bedding in all these new guys. So it's like, I'm really excited. I guess that's all I can keep saying, is I'm just really excited by it.
Well, you know, you can't pick a better kind of intro track than Hearts on Time, mate. So don't change that. That's fine.
Yeah, no, we're not changing that. Don't you worry. That is staying. Yeah.
That's one thing my sister picked up actually when we saw you in Cambridge. We sat there and then the sort of intro like play starts and joking. And my sister's going, they're even playing Aerosmith. Are they doing that for you? I was like, no, Hen's just as mental as Aerosmith as I am.
I am indeed. Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, good stuff.
so obviously, I imagine a lot of it is under wraps with the new album, mate. But what does the rest of the year look like for you guys that you can tell us and into the new?
Mate, to be honest, at the moment we're everything's kind of pretty open. We're playing Rock in the Bowl next weekend. So, we're main support to Chris Barris, which is big show back for us. Yes, our first show back, and it's sold out. It's a huge deal. And then we go to Altenbergen in Germany and doing Rock and Revel Fest. And then we're doing, the next day we're playing in France we're doing like, I think it's like Reims Fest or something like that, with some great bands like Wishbone Ash and all these big other big names. So we're heading to Europe for the first time. We're getting out there. We're, you know, testing the waters, because we intend on going back out there next year. And then we've got a couple of headline stuff coming up. A few that have not been announced yet, but we're doing a big headline show in Hastings.
Oh, nice.
And then, yeah, in November, we're doing Planet Rockstock, which is really cool. And we're doing the 5 Volt Christmas Party.
Oh,
which we're headlining that as well. And yeah, or we're main support of that or something. And then, yeah, we're just kind of getting ready for next year. Lots of touring, like UK, Europe. We just want to, we want to smash this new album. The album we're looking at for a kind of early spring release. Nothing's been set in stone yet. We're kind of finalising all the details ahead of the kind of campaign. So we're just ready to get to work. I'm ready to be really super busy again, because I'll be honest, I'm not very good when I'm not. So
there's nothing wrong with that, man. But
exactly.
It's been great to catch up with you, dude. I cannot wait to hear this album. I can see you're buzzing your head off about it, man. Again, we can see you got itchy feet ready to launch it, man.
Yeah, I can't wait to show you. I really can't, because I think you're going to dig it a lot.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, and obviously looking forward to. I'll try and get down to that show in Hastings, man, because it'll be good to catch up with you. Dude.
Yeah, man. Well, we'll catch up. We'll be up your way as well at some point. I know it.
Well, I look forward to that being released then, and maybe another night out for me and my little sister.
Yeah, so, good fun. Well, you know, you're always welcome. Look forward to having a beer with you soon, man.
Absolutely, dude. So you know how it works on my show, mate. At the beginning of the interview, I'm going to play Wild Honey because it's one of my favourite songs.
Oh, I love it.
But what song of yours would you like us to play at the end?
What song would I? I think it will be. Let's go for one off the debut album. My favourite off the debut album was a song called The River. So yeah, feel free to stick that one on. It's a little deep cut, but it's a good tune. And we'll be playing that one live as well. So
Oh, nice one. Well, thanks, man. It's good to catch up with you, dude.
great stuff, mate. It's great to see you, Lee. You look after yourself.
Yeah, you too, man. Take care.